welcome NoDQ Galaxy to another edition of the NoDQ Review, and I am Virtue being joined by the panel of Aaron Rift, TJS, and the trivia champ that runs the camp, Greg Cherry. What's up, everyone? I'm going to start with you, champ. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. 180 days now as champion, almost 6 months. It's ridiculous to a lot of people, but I'm just that good. Also, I'm looking forward to a lot of stuff not wrestling related. Notre Dame won this past weekend, beat Michigan. That was awesome. And professional football season starts tonight, actually. So I'm looking forward to the season starting. And we got a lot of wrestling stuff going on, too. So, we got a ton to cover.
Cool. Hey, Aaron Rift, how many fantasy football leagues are you in this year?
Try 0, but thank you for the comment nonetheless.
What's up?
I'm doing well. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Like Greg said, we have only about 3 pay-per-views coming up that WWE is hyping up on television. Yeah, 3 pay-per-views simultaneously, all this build-up, all this hype, lots of matches coming up, lots of rematches being announced for the Super Showdown. Wonderful stuff here. We got match after match after match, rematch. It's crazy here in the world of WWE right now. And we're also coming off All In. TJS, how are you feeling about everything? Are you overwhelmed?
Oh yeah, man, that's an understatement. On top of all the wrestling stuff, I've been busy with school. Finally built my first computer from the ground up. It feels nice, and just to take a break from wrestling, it just feels so good. But I fear that, like you said, we have 3 special events coming up, and we got a lot to cover. So take it away, Virtue.
Hey, TJS, are you putting like cool stickers on the tower that you're making? Like maybe like a Roman Reigns logo? Who else? A Jinder Mahal? I mean, you could really doctor that thing up and make it look really cool.
Brie Bella.
Greg Cherry since I kicked his ass.
Brie?
Oh.
Man, Brie, and I don't want to talk about it this week too, but Brie with her botches this week, ouch. But before we talk about WWE, let's talk about All In, the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes event that happened this past weekend. And you know what? I thought it was going to be all New Japan and Ring of Honor wrestling, just long match after long match after long match. And then I got to see DDP, Pentagon Jr. cosplay, which was awesome, Mr. Chris Jericho, Joey Ryan, penises, druids, crazy. But the wrestling fans that liked the long matches still got what they wanted with spots. It catered to everyone, in my opinion. So I want to go around the horn and ask everybody their thoughts on All In. Like, what stood out? What was your favorite match? And thoughts on Mr. Jericho doing double gig with All In and Fozzy in different states. TJS, go for it.
Well, All In, it was, just the fact that Cody and the Bucks could sell out this 10,000-seat arena. I thought that was good. I personally did not think that the show lit the world on fire. I thought it was good, but I didn't think that. I've seen takeovers that are better than that, and I know takeover is still WWE, but it's the developmental. Isn't that sort of like WWE's version of the Indies? As far as favorite match goes, it's got to be Cody versus Nick Aldis for the NWA World's Championship. And there was one thing that really took me out of that match. It's after Cody took the elbow when he was jumping when he was doing the dive. He took the elbow, and at that time is when DDP came out, and Cody he put his head under the table, and it was obvious that he was bleeding. And they cut to the ring and the diamond cutter, and I don't know, because it showed a shot of Cody's face before or after he.
Ruh-roh.
It was a good match. I'm glad that he finally won the NWA World's title, following in the footsteps of his dear old dad. Rest in peace, Dream. Aaron, I know you gave your thoughts about All In, but I guess you could just do a quick recap here.
Yeah, see, I thought it was a great show, and I'm not the biggest indie guy, as most people watching this know, but I thought they hit all the right notes. I think they gave the people what they wanted to see, and I think it was very well done from start to finish. It felt like a major league production, and like I said, I enjoyed seeing some of the legends and how they were utilized on the show, like DDP, as you mentioned. Jeff Jarrett was there. You had Lanny Poffo come out with Jay Lethal as Black Machismo. You had all sorts of little surprises like Chris Jericho, who did the Fozzy concert. He literally got on a jet and went to, I think it was St. Louis or Kansas City, one of those areas, and did his Fozzy concert.
With the makeup still on.
Yeah.
Fabulous. That is legendary stuff.
Yeah, and Virtue, like we talked about, the only thing I would have liked to have seen was maybe somebody like Vince Russo show up, cut a promo, and then get his ass kicked by somebody. Just because it would have been easy heat with that crowd because they hate Russo so much. But Cody has to take himself a little too seriously, in my opinion, banning Russo from StarCast, which I think is really silly. I think Russo would have been very entertaining there, and that's what wrestling's all about. It's entertaining people. And I know some people really do not like Russo, but I think it would have been a fun atmosphere to have him there. And if he was willing to take a bump for somebody, I think that he should have been there. But nonetheless, I think it was a great show, and I think they're going to do another one, and I suspect it will be a big success. And time will tell where they end up doing it, whether it's going to be New York or if they go back to Chicago again or if they go to L.A. Regardless of where they go, I think they're going to draw another huge crowd for their show, and I think they might end up doing a yearly thing here, maybe once a year, doing like an indie super show, which makes you wonder if Kenny and the Young Bucks are going to head to WWE or not. But I guess that's another topic we could discuss at some point, like what would it take for them to go to WWE, because they're doing so well for themselves right now with All In, and they're making a ton of money on their own terms. How much would WWE be willing to offer those guys to have them jump away from their project and work for the big corporation? Cody said, from what I've heard, that he's not interested at all in going back, and apparently they've all made a pact that they're going to stick together regardless of where they go. So it's going to be a really interesting 6 months, I think, especially in January, to see what happens with these guys. Virtue, is your dog trying to make a cameo?
No.
Oh,
Aaron did.
No, but I'm leaning on something.
Aaron, did you?
It's riveting hear you talking about indie wrestling. I mean, everybody's just listening to pins and needles because you usually are the WWE guy. I want to ask you this, Aaron. Did you answer this with your favorite match? And do you think the 6-man tag should have been the main event? I get it, the Young Bucks, but the NWA 10 pounds of gold. I know Jeff Meacham's not on this show today, but seriously, that should have been the last match. What do you think?
Oh, I agree 100%. But there's the whole story about the time of the matches going too long, especially the Marty Scurll match with Okada. And I think because of that, the Young Bucks match had to be cut really short. I do think, though, in terms of the story and the presentation, I think Cody and Nick Aldis had the match of the night, definitely, in my opinion.
That match, it felt so important because of the entourage and everything. And I mean, it was just, I love the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg, your thoughts?
I mean, I have to agree with you that the NWA Championship match was the match of the night. I want to give an honorable mention, though, because it's my favorite type of match, to the Battle Royal, which was also full of a lot of great moments. And Flip Gordon showing up, we were all kind of speculating, how would he be part of All In, because Cody was like, no, you can't be part of All In, no, you can't be part of All In. So he sneaks his way into the Battle Royal and earned himself a Ring of Honor world title shot. So good for him. And he put on a great match with Jay Lethal. So that brought a lot of fun for me. I didn't get to see All In until after Saturday because, again, college football. But I enjoyed the show. I thought it was a great show. I think it has potential to be something else, like do one next year. I know they're doing the G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden the night before WrestleMania, which should be very interesting since I'm sure TakeOver is going to be happening not too far away in Brooklyn.
They're going
to be in New Jersey, I guess.
What's your letter grade for All In? I was going to get the letter grade from you guys. Aaron, I think you said A, right?
Yeah, A. Solid A.
I'd probably give it a B+. I mean, I did enjoy the show. I felt like production-wise, it could have been a little better, but, you know, WWE production's like over the top and stuff. But for an indie show, because this is essentially what it was, All In was essentially a giant indie show that was broadcast on television and on pay-per-view. For what it was, I thought it was very good. So props to Cody and the Young Bucks.
You know, and I was at that Ring of Honor Supercard that they had in New Orleans WrestleMania weekend, and I was there. There was a lot of people there, obviously not 11,000 and change, but it felt like that to me, and I enjoyed that show, but I liked it all in that sports entertainment that they gave me. It's like they didn't ignore the fans that like that over-the-top stuff. So I'm going to give it an A-. That seems like what I give everything lately, Aaron. I'm just not committed to give it that solid A, but I was critical going in because I was like, oh, more long wrestling matches. Come on, give me more story. And you know what? Chris Jericho did it. That was the spot of the night, in my opinion. The fact that he flew to Kansas and did the Fozzy shit with the paint still on. The code breakers to Kenny Omega looked as real as you could make a code breaker look. Pafo coming out with Black Machismo, awesome stuff. I like the Davari getting the diamond cutter from DDP. That's the stuff that really puts shows over the top for me. The fact Okada and Skrull went for 28 minutes, too long. It was to me, that was match of the night, but the fact it went long, that's when you start feeling forced for matches like that, catering to indie fans that want that. I think if that match would have went about 10 minutes shorter, that would have been my favorite match of the night.
Agreed.
But I will go with Cody versus Aldis, and Cody finally winning the 10 pounds of gold. So, and that should have been on last, obviously. So I give it an A-. But with this being revolutionary, what's next, right? WWE does a 52-week schedule. Sure, SmackDown's got tarps over the seats. Notice it's always SmackDown when we see those pictures, though, and not so much Raw. Interesting, though. But let's see them work a bigger schedule and see if they can keep drawing those same fans where they got to shell out more money more often. That's what would be revolutionary to me. If they can do this consistently,
right.
And I don't know how many times that would mean, I will be the first to say then, you made it, guys. You did it. You're kind of semi-hanging with Vince McMahon. But I want to see that first.
Yeah.
I want to see consistency.
Baby steps.
Yes.
I'm really curious to see the buy rates for it.
It'll probably be pretty solid. But think about it, though. In the era of social media or streaming, cheap app prices, $10, this and that, a $40 pay-per-view, I'm very interested. Those numbers haven't come out yet?
Not yet, but we'll see. I think they had about 200,000 tune in to the pre-show, which is pretty much what Impact Wrestling has been doing as of late. So there you go. They're already at Impact's level with viewership. That's pretty sad. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how well it did on pay-per-view. If it does really well, then that's just going to be icing on the cake for them. And one way or another, I think we're definitely going to see a follow-up.
And let's keep in mind, Aaron, the grasp that WWE has on wrestling fans. They experimented with NXT on the USA Network. They drew, 750, 800,000? That's a hell of a lot more than what All In. I'm just saying. So you see the level that WWE's at. Even their niche product still draws a lot more than Impact and Ring of Honor. And again, maybe all of these indie feds need to collaborate together to make maybe like a traveling super promotion where maybe it's not all the time, but like New Japan, Ring of Honor, and even Impact. Maybe that's the next revolution to compete against.
It could be, just doing something different. And it's just impressive the fact that it's the biggest crowd to see a wrestling show that wasn't WWE in the United States since WCW's final days, which is, a great accomplishment.
Props to Billy Corrigan, because I do think he has a good mind for the wrestling business. Obviously, we know Young Bucks and Cody pretty much did this thing, but Billy was there, I'm sure, every step of the way helping these guys.
And I think he's doing a great job making people care about the NWA title again. I mean, it's the first time in, over 2 decades that people are actually taking the title seriously again.
That's true.
Really since it was cut off of Impact, because it was there for a few years.
Wow.
That's right, back in the earlier TNA days.
Yeah, but that was when TNA was like really good too. So
sorry, Impact fans, but we're going from All In to WWE. That's what we do. I want to talk about last week. I quit. We were talking about cool fantasy booking, different scenarios. Paul Heyman, what could this mean? A refreshing, getting in shape. I mean, you know, Kevin Owens is in ring shape because he has good cardio for wrestling, right? He does not get blown up. So I guess physical appearance does not matter. He has a good work rate. But Raw, Bobby Lashley with the Jinder Mahal segment, and this is what we get so soon, 7 days later. Greg, you had your head down the longest. I'm going to start with you. Thoughts on WWE not? I think you said something interesting off camera about this whole situation and WWE doing things quickly. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I was basically saying that they don't do anything long term. I mean, they book week to week, probably the day of the shows. They don't have any long-term planning. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar did have a little bit more long-term planning because Paul Heyman was the one writing it. And Heyman is a freaking creative genius when it comes to the wrestling business. Whether we want to admit it or not, whether the fact that Reigns and Lesnar admittedly probably had one of the better stories going into SummerSlam than any of the other matches, Heyman's the reason. And the fact that you have a bunch of Hollywood writers who don't know how to write wrestling shows, and it's going to drive me nuts until they bring back just booking style where you don't have scripted promos every week. And I've been complaining about this for like 13 years, that they need to go back to bullet point promos. Virtue, you and I have both worked the indies. You still are. And we had bullet point promos. We have certain things we have to hit, and whatever else we want to say.
Save that thought on bullet points for a topic we'll bring up a little bit later in the show because it'll nail it on the head. But save that bullet point topic for sure.
Absolutely. It's just frustrating that Owens was put in this situation. He could have had something golden with the I Quit thing, and they brought him back a week later. It's like, what was the point? Why have that segment? Why build it up to make it something special and then throw it away?
Right.
But that seems commonplace in WWE writing style. And we don't do this to like complain about WWE. Like, oh, WWE sucks. WWE is terrible. We do this stuff because we love it so much, and we're frustrated when it's not as good as it can be.
Right. And this is a perfect example.
Yes, because Kevin Owens is freaking gold. I was watching some of his promos with Johnny Gargano when they were in the Indies, and they were doing like the Panda Express thing. Thank you, Rachel, for bringing those videos onto Twitter. And it was amazing. Like, it was so entertaining. And stuff like that is what I'd like to see come to WWE. Just be entertaining, be funny, be naturally funny. You don't have to force stuff down people's throats to make them get the idea. We're not that stupid. We can get like stuff organically. It's somebody else go.
Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it, Greg. This was just a complete waste of time. Why even bother doing it in the first place? Any of us could have come up with something interesting here for Kevin Owens. We just mentioned a bunch of things about possibly Paul Heyman showing up to be his new advisor, or maybe have him drop some weight, or just keep him off television for a couple of weeks at least to sell the angle. Because the problem now is that the next guy that does it, no one's going to believe it. They're like, you know what, the guy's just going to be back next week, and WWE just doesn't follow through with storyline. So the next time somebody quits, it's not going to have any meaning because this was just completely wasted. So yeah, there's not much else to say about it. I'm not sure how anybody can defend this. It's just very lazy and just a waste of our time as viewers, getting us interested in something and then basically just ending it, putting the axe to it the next week. TJS, any other thoughts you have on it?
I mean, I guess we should have learned our lesson about this whole I Quit thing when Dolph did it earlier this year. I mean, you could, at the very least, you don't even have to write for Kevin Owens. Just after he quits, just keep him off TV. Don't write anything.
Well, at least Dolph was off for a little bit longer than 7 days.
Exactly. And Dolph dropped a championship, so there was a little bit more buzz there. With Owens, I love Kevin Owens. He's my favorite. But when this happens, he got squashed, and now I just feel like his character's lost all credibility, and I don't know. I don't know what's next, and I mean, for all I know, he's gonna get squashed by Bob the Lash.
Yep. This should have been an instance where if they were just going to have him feud with Lashley next, they didn't even do that spot last week on Raw. After he lost to Rollins, he just, he's done for the night. And then this angle would have happened on Raw. And sure, we'd say, oh, Owens and Lashley, but at least we wouldn't have been teased by an I Quit. They should have kept him off till at least Hell in a Cell and made him come back and attack someone there. And at the very least.
And it wasn't even a big surprise when he showed back up. It was just like, oh, it's Kevin. He just quit last week.
But the announcers, Cole, tried to get it over like,
oh my.
Like, yeah. Oh boy. Well, that's what we get these days, right? And again, it's creative could be so better if they actually had creative people. All right. Well, speaking of that, AOP, bring them on the main roster. Yes.
I think Greg had something.
Did you? Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. One last thing on the Kevin Owens thing. If they could have sold the angle more, he would have been in like street clothes or something. But he showed up in his gear. It's like you're not even trying to sell the angle.
That's a great point.
It's like
a great point.
He just shows up ready to work. He quit last week. You're not even trying to sell the angle anymore. What are you doing? Like this is my frustrations. I'm hoping Triple H takes over the main roster sooner rather than later because we won't get garbage like this when he takes over.
Does he even have gear? It just looks like he came out with his T-shirt and his pants, which he might wear during the day anyways.
Well, that is Kevin Owens' gear. I mean, that's
Make
always
him wear like a button-up shirt or something. Anything. Just.
But when he was in Ring of Honor and PWG, he had the shirt, he had the shorts. I mean, that's always been his thing. So, I don't know.
Shoot, they could have had him off TV for weeks and had a spy camera in the back and called it KOTV. Oh, wait, never mind. That's an Easter egg for old school fans of the Attitude Era. Let's talk about AOP. So they got brought to the main roster. Ellering, they dumped Ellering, maybe because Paul Ellering did not want to do the travel. Okay, I get that. I don't know for sure. And they didn't put a manager with these guys right away, which clearly two big guys like this, just old school values, you need that mouthpiece. So strangely enough, all of a sudden they have one. And it's the 205 Live general manager, Drake Maverick, coming out, a pint-sized small dude, especially compared to them, wearing that same gear, which now it's like Shield 2.0. TJS. I nothing against Rockstar Spud, because I actually like this stuff in Impact. Yes, Aaron, I did. But this was awful to me.
Yeah.
Like, no. But what do you think, TJS?
Well, I mean... So let's look at this here. We have Paul Ellering, WWE Hall of Famer, who managed the Road Warriors, led them to success, and then you have Drake Maverick, aka Rockstar Spud, who lost to King Maxwell, Matt Hardy's kid, in Impact Wrestling. And you just have Drake Maverick show up, and he's like, I'm their manager now. There's no story. They haven't said why he's their manager. It just baffles me. And why is it Drake Maverick? Why couldn't this be Paul Heyman's new project? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And meanwhile, you have Drake Maverick on 205 Live as a babyface general manager, and now he's a heel on Raw as the AOP manager. And apparently they're not even going by Authors of Pain anymore. It's just AOP, because that's what they announced them as twice. And on the nameplate, it just said AOP. So I guess Authors of Pain is not PG enough. Aaron, what do you think?
That very well could be the case, or WWE just assumes everybody knows the name by now. So just like Triple H, well, Triple H is Triple H, but I don't know. I don't know a good comparison off the top of my head. But Virtue, I remember on the video you did with Big Jeff the other night, you talked about the way that Drake Maverick talks with the side of his mouth. Can you do that?
Yeah. He just, I don't know. I know he had dental work done. You know, he's British. Sorry, but I always hear that they have bad teeth over there. No, that's not. That's a myth. But like, he does talk very weird, and his mouth is a little crooked. And if that's his gimmick to stand out, okay. But like, they zoomed in on his face, and I wasn't even thinking of the AOP. I was thinking of why you talking goofy like that. And again, I haven't been watching 205 Live religiously, so I don't know how many general manager segments they do where they show him talking. So this is maybe kind of semi new to me, but it's, I don't know. He's not very intimidating.
Yeah.
Don't you need somebody intimidating with them?
Yeah, I think it's funny, but at least I can get like the Jimmy Hart vibe from him because he is like a pint-sized pipsqueak type guy, and I'll give it a chance. We'll see how it plays out over the next couple weeks. They do need a manager, but I definitely think the gear has to go. They look too much like a low-rent Shield, in my opinion.
I get the Spike Dudley vibes from him. That's just me.
I don't. But we'll see. That's interesting. Greg?
Is this the facepalm edition of the NoDQ review? I mean,
pretty much, yeah.
This doesn't make any sense either because they did it with no explanation. It's like, hey, randomly Drake Maverick's here, and we put him. How many people in the Raw roster are wearing Riot gear? Ironically, the Riot Squad isn't. But how many? Like there's face palms all over the place for Monday Night Raw.
I know. If Skype wanted to just like freeze frame you, this would be the time to do it because you've had the same expression anyways.
I've had the same expression all freaking video. Are you kidding me? I mean, the only memorable segment of Raw, and I'm sure we'll get to it, was the segment with two guys that aren't even on the show regularly.
Yep.
Like, why is that the best part of Raw? Because those guys know what they're doing, number one. And number two, people care about them. Nobody cares about anybody on the Raw roster because you don't give us a chance to care. Damn it.
All right, no, we're segueing now, Greg, because my thoughts on Drake Maverick is I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, if I see them next week on Raw and they do something like creatively and maybe he has a little edge to him and he's not just standing there with his crooked mouth, maybe I'll change my mind next week. But
he reminds me of Willy Wonka.
To be continued with the AOP and Drake Maverick.
Watch. Next week it's AOP versus Titus Worldwide.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Shawn Michaels came out to promote this Undertaker and Triple H match coming up at the Super Showdown. And at first I thought, oh, God, they're just hyping this house show up. 80,000 people. Okay, I get it. And then, unexpectedly, at least to me, they had The Undertaker in the building in Columbus, and he comes out face-to-face with Shawn. Greg, bullet points. You know they did not give these guys a script. They said, you got 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You know what to talk about. Hype up the match with Triple H and Taker. And these guys did such a fantastic job to me, it's making me think, will Shawn come out of retirement? And of course, you know, if Shawn sticks to his word, which I think he will, and never wrestle again, at least now I feel that maybe, you never know, he could come back and wrestle Taker one more time. TJS, let's start with you. This just shows you the legend. They rely on the legends and the fact that they don't script them. What do you think?
Definitely. I mean, you could just feel the chemistry that was there between these two guys, and it felt so organic. And I felt like they actually hated each other. But then Shawn talked about how he had the respect for The Undertaker, and that's why he's staying retired. I was expecting Shawn to super kick him, but perhaps not. But we did get Undertaker chants throughout this promo, so there's people that want Undertaker to retire, sure, but I mean, the whole arena was chanting his name. I'm afraid, though, that this match between Undertaker and Triple H is not going to deliver as much as we're expecting it to, you know, because, I mean, let's face it, Undertaker he's getting up there in age, and he's been working the shorter matches lately. But as for the promo, it was magnificent. I don't know what was better, Triple H's promo from the week before or the HBK Undertaker thing from this week. Greg, what do you think?
I mean, I'd give the edge to Shawn and Taker, but, you know, I've always been a Shawn Michaels guy, so I might be a little biased. The thing is, and I touched on this with the bullet points, if you give them a couple points to hit and just let them go, natural talent comes out. Imagine like 20-some years ago if they would have tried to script Austin 316. It would not have failed. WCW would have won. Let's put it that way. If you had the writers in 95, 96 that you have now, WCW would be running roughshod over the wrestling business right now. It's embarrassing, really, because you can't script guys like Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, but you expect all the guys now to be scripted. Nobody's going to get over except who you want to get over. And I think that's the problem people have with Roman Reigns. If Reigns, and you know what, that's when people started turning on Cena, too. When his promos became more scripted, that's when they turned on him.
I do like midlife crisis Cena, though. I hope that's something he continues to do when he comes in and out of WWE. That's the vibe I've gotten since this Undertaker thing at Mania. The midlife crisis, that's what I'm calling it. Midlife crisis Cena. To me, it's compelling.
As long as he dumps that back fist as a finisher, I'm fine.
The lightning fist.
Doesn't want to get married, wants to be successful in all assets of entertainment. Greg, did you have anything else to say, or do you want me to pass it to Aaron on this?
You can pass it to Aaron. I just hope that they take notes from the Shawn and Taker segment and spread that across the entire show.
Yeah.
Because that's what they need. They need compelling TV.
I don't think it's going to happen because
I know.
Guys like Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Undertaker, all these guys are from a different era. They're from an era where people had to sell $40, $50 pay-per-views, and their careers and their paychecks depended on it. They had to go out there and they had to convince the people to buy a pay-per-view. So they had to really feel it. They had to come up with something. They had to be creative. And it's just a different era now. The guys don't have that creative freedom anymore. And WWE, they hold all the cards. It's their casino. It's their game. And everybody has to play by their rules. And, I don't think we're going to see guys quite like Shawn Michaels or Undertaker anytime soon because everyone's being basically manufactured. They're coming off an assembly line from NXT, and yeah, they're great wrestlers and whatnot. They're great athletes, but they just don't have that natural instinctive abilities to go out there and really sell an audience on a big match. That's the problem. Now, I'm not sure how they would do without the scripting, some of these guys, just because they don't have the experience of going out there on their own and just being able to trial and error going out there with an audience and seeing what works and what doesn't. They just have to follow a script night in and night out. They might not know how to do a type of promo that Triple H does. So,
that was to my point about Austin. If you would have scripted Austin, he never would have got the chance to be a breakout star. So how do you know? You might have 3 or 4 breakout stars on your roster, but you don't give them a chance to be themselves. You don't give them a chance to cut promos the way they want to cut them to draw the audience in. I mean, Roman Reigns might be the best promo person in the company if he wasn't scripted. We don't know that.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying for a while now. And go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to add, I wanted to add that I like the fact that Talking Smack was around when it was because it was actually a vehicle for some of these guys to try and experiment a little bit and just speak from the heart. I always point out that Jinder Mahal promo because everyone thinks I'm so negative on Jinder, but I was a fan of that promo. If you go back, watch Talking Smack right before his big push started, he was just speaking from the heart. He sounded authentic. It wasn't force-fed. It wasn't the stereotypical foreign heel gimmick that he was doing. It was just him being himself, and it was entertaining. He was breaking out of his shell a little bit. I wanted to see more of that stuff, and I really do miss Talking Smack because I think it was a good way for some of these guys to just go in there and not have to worry about being scripted. They could say what they want, and I thought the Talking Smack promos were, for the most part, great. I was always watching Talking Smack because it felt like those guys were able to just be creative with their promos and just be natural with what they're doing.
Yep.
So that's
I love the promo. I love the promo, and the one thing I would have done, if I worked for WWE's creative and Vince McMahon listened to me, I would have told Shawn, just at the right time, go for the super kick. Cut the lights before you actually see him connect. Lights come back on, Taker's gone, and Michaels was like, what the hell?
Ooh,
again,
that's genius.
I know it's fantasy booking, but gosh, that's how much Shawn, the Attitude Era, these guys. So much for not once in a lifetime. What was their saying back end of an era?
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe this if Shawn wrestles Undertaker next year in New York, New Jersey, at WrestleMania, if you, Greg, Aaron, TJS, if you make it on your own expense to New York, I will buy your WrestleMania tickets. But Shawn has to be there wrestling Undertaker. All right.
If that happens, I'm going to find a way to get there.
I will. That's my word. I will do that. Everybody on this video right now. All right. So moving on. New tag team champions. And so we know we got the Shield. Seth Rollins is the Intercontinental Champion. Roman Reigns is the Universal Champion. Braun Strowman cashing his Money in the Bank. He's going to get the shot at Roman at Hell in a Cell. And you have Ziggler and McIntyre, who now are conveniently the Vince McMahon theory, putting the titles in. To me, it just, you have a big feud like that, 3-on-3. Actually, it's the whole locker room versus the Shield. I just want to know everyone's thoughts on putting the titles swiftly on Ziggler and McIntyre, and do you think they're going to land on Rollins and Ambrose? Aaron, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm just happy the B team no longer has the tag team titles, so for me that's a positive. I am feeling bad for the Revival, though. They pretty much got the shaft here, and my guess is they're not going to get an opportunity at the titles. It's probably going to be, I'm not even sure if B Team will get a rematch. Maybe they will on Raw next week, but my feeling is it's going to be, well, it was advertised for Hell in a Cell to be Ziggler and McIntyre against Ambrose and Rollins, and I suspect that is going to be the next feud for the tag team title. So poor Revival, they're back off in limbo, and B Team, it was fun while it lasted, but they ruined it when they did that segment from a couple months ago with all the, what was it? I don't even remember now.
The barbecue?
It was so bad. Yes, the barbecue. Oh, that was the moment it fell off a cliff for me. That's when I lost interest in the B Team. That was when it jumped the shark. That's the phrase I'm looking for. It was a nice little run for those guys, but yeah, time to move on here. Greg, any thoughts you have on B Team no longer being champs and Ziggler McIntyre, where this goes next?
Well, the B Team no longer being champs is fine with me. I mean, they got their little run. They got their championship run on the main roster. Good for them. But, I mean, their time's over. It's time for Ziggler and McIntyre to really run roughshod, and it might lead to a Revival face turn. But I may be thinking too much into this because they were attacked before their tag team title match. But it's week-to-week booking, so they'll probably won't see their shot ever again. Who knows? It's really, the only problem I have with it is it's becoming a six-man show. It's becoming the Shield against Braun, Ziggler, and McIntyre. Not that it's a huge problem, but it seems to be the only focus of the show, and everything else, all the other matches just kind of happen. Like, the only thing important is those six guys, and you're trying to sell two different shows with those six guys at the same time. It's really frustrating. And
do you think that's the formula of the Attitude Era, though, with like Austin and The Rock, where they always thread those guys out throughout the whole show? And even though we had all that filler, it was still the top guy show. Do you think Vince is trying to do that now?
Yeah.
With these super groups?
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
yeah. Remember the Raw from 2008 when it was Cena and Randy Orton against all the heels.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, it would not shock me if we get that. Yeah, we're gonna get the Shield. Like, Baron Corbin's gonna make the Shield versus 10 guys.
They've done that already. They've done that with the Shield. Like,
which is why they're gonna do it again.
Greg, we're not supposed to remember that.
Yeah, they had three pull-apart brawls in the span of 2 months. So we're not shocked if it happens.
Here's my thing about this.
Okay.
We have Ziggler and McIntyre as the tag champs. We have Roman as Universal and Seth as Intercontinental. So, I mean, they have a six-man tag at Super Showdown. Are no championships going to be defended on that show on Raw? I mean, you have, it just doesn't make sense because the only title that's not going to be on this six-person feud is the Raw Women's title, and that's not being defended either because Ronda is in a six-man tag or a six-woman tag. So I'm not looking forward to Super Showdown other than for Triple H and Undertaker. I don't get it.
They should just call it Rematch-A-Mania at this point.
All right. So, well, we have this topic. You segued to it perfectly, TJS, because I don't really have much more thoughts on other than it's Vince McMahon doing what he does best, putting all the titles in his main event scene, and that's where they currently are, for the males at least. And that's why Ziggler and McIntyre, just like that, got the tag team championship. We have, right now, as we're talking, Hell in a Cell, which is next, right? Then after that, there's a Super Showdown. And then later in October, we have Evolution. But WWE is promoting all of them at once. And Aaron Rift, didn't we already get, isn't the Bar already challenging for the SmackDown tag team titles? And they're in a tournament to win a shot at the tag team titles?
Yeah.
This is what it's. Okay, so here's what I wrote down. I got to read it. What purpose does WWE have with promoting so much at once? Are we overwhelmed? Aaron, go
Yes,
for it.
we are. We absolutely are 100%. But again, it's a different era now. They would not do this 10 years ago because they have to focus on one pay-per-view at a time when they're trying to sell people on $40 pay-per-views. Now it's $9.99 for the network. It doesn't matter. They can promote 3 pay-per-views because the core audience is going to watch all 3 pretty much no matter what. I don't know what it means in terms of possibly getting new subscribers if it overwhelms them. Maybe it doesn't, because maybe the appeal of all these shows, maybe for whatever casual fans are left out there, maybe that's appealing to them. I don't know. And really, it doesn't matter, because I feel like everything we discuss is irrelevant now because of the fact that Virtue, TJS, Greg, as well. The stock is the highest it's ever been. What is it, like $87 now? It just keeps going up and up. Next year, not the Target brand, by the way, just going up in general. And 2019, they're going to be starting on Fox. The money's going to be rolling in. And WWE is just a machine right now. They are a corporate machine. They're too big to fail. Let's face it. I mean, they could book the worst wrestling in the world. They could do WCW, stuff that would make WCW 2000 look logical. And they're still going to be rolling in the green. So I don't know what else to say about it. It is frustrating as a fan. I wish they would focus on one pay-per-view at a time. It's getting old. I'm getting tired of all these groundbreaking pay-per-views and Evolution changing the business, Super Showdown changing the business. Hell in a Cell is going to be the greatest Hell in a Cell of all time, apparently.
Yep. And you know what you said that's interesting to me? They are too big to fail.
Yep.
That should be a shirt. That should be a freaking T-shirt.
Seems like
because that's the truth, Aaron. That's the truth.
Vince has it tattooed on his dick.
That's why I'm so comfortable defending WWE on Twitter, on videos, pro Roman. You know why I can do that? Because I can say, look at the money they're making. People will show empty seats at SmackDown and say this and that, but at the end of the day, they're making money, right? They are, and it's easy to defend them when you can use that as your tool. Who wants to go next with this chaotic triple event we're going to have over the next 8 weeks?
I'll
start promoting Survivor Series probably next week.
Well, we have a Saudi Arabian show in November. Don't forget about that one.
They're going to be on the network?
Yeah, probably.
The greatest Survivor Series, probably.
I mean, when we heard that these are going to be dual branded pay-per-views, we thought we were going to get a break, and now we just it's just such oversaturation, and it makes me laugh because of the way that they're announcing things with the Bar in a tournament for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships.
That's nuts.
It's funny because I just don't see how anyone could be this ignorant in booking this stuff.
Yeah, Joe's facing AJ again. Becky's facing Charlotte again. So the results at Hell in a Cell, do they even matter because everyone's getting a rematch?
I got one for you, Aaron. So if the Bar win this tournament, that means they get the shot at Hell in a Cell?
Yes.
Which happens before Super Showdown. What if they did that, won the tag team titles at Hell in a Cell? That means they face themselves at Super Showdown.
No, they face the New Day.
No,
they would.
Do you get what I'm saying there? I'm getting nuts with this.
Yeah.
TJS, you
do
got
like
that, right?
fake Razor Ramon and fake Diesel. They would bring in fake Cesaro and fake Sheamus. That's what they'll have to do for a Super Showdown.
Hey,
Anything
those are
else,
better than what
TJS?
they're currently doing. I'll say that one.
Greg's ready for another face palm. Anything else, TJS?
No, I just wanted to mention one more big loophole here. Are we going to talk about the end of Raw? Is that a topic?
When we do our main event, you can talk about whatever you want.
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
All right. This is brought to you by this review is brought to you by V8. In my opinion, if they were going to do this, they should have just canceled the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view and made the Super Showdown the pay-per-view. That's what they should have done. If they're going to have all these matches anyway, just make the Australian show the pay-per-view that we have to watch and then do Evolution later. Like, I'm fine with that, but there's no reason to do all these shows. You shouldn't have announced. I understand you want to get the ticket sales in Australia. Fine. Announce the thing in Australia and then, like, don't tell us. But, I mean, they'll be leaked online anyway. And it's too much. It's too much. Like,
what you do is you announce Triple H and Undertaker, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then maybe you announce, hey, somebody's going to get a title match. They're going to face the winner of Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, or I know they're doing the 6-man anyways, but let's just say like Becky Lynch and Charlotte, you could say Asuka. I know Asuka's teaming with Naomi, but you could have done something, just for example, they could have said Asuka is going to face the winner of Charlotte and Becky at Super Showdown. Something like that.
Or like a battle royal on the SmackDown after Hell in a Cell. The winner faces the women's champion at Super Showdown, or something like that, where you have like title defenses and you don't know who's going to face who, and it's just completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go to the main event because you know what? We might not hit our hour today, Aaron, because we're just going to do 20 more of these. So main event, my topic is, to me, in WWE's 5 hours of programming on Raw and SmackDown, what stole the week was, and this is strange to say, it was R-Truth, and he won a main event on SmackDown by pinning The Miz. Am I correct?
Yep.
R-Truth, this is what, comedy can be way overdone, over the top in wrestling. We know that. When he called Maurice Carmella, and then on top of that, he gets a win on SmackDown, good for you, Ron Killings. I mean, good for you. K-Quick, R-Truth, Ron Killings, whatever you want to be called, you earned it. This was your big day. This was your Zack Ryder winning the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania type day. So go around the horn. Any thoughts on R-Truth's comedic happenings from SmackDown this week? Because I thought, Aaron, it was entertaining.
Me too.
And I like to see stuff like that with guys that really aren't utilized, especially ones that aren't like, to me, R-Truth, it's a little over top when he comes in. What's up, right? Because you see it too much, you get bored of it. But I was okay with R-Truth this week. What do you think?
I'll start. R-Truth is incredibly entertaining, and he always has been. I mean, he's definitely one of the most underrated performers in WWE. And when you put him on screen, especially with the gimmick where he's like completely whacked out of his mind, it's funny. And Ty Dillinger is a great straight man for that type of stuff, because he's like, what is he talking about? And it's just so good. When you do stuff like that, that's what I'm talking about. Raw needs those kind of things that SmackDown has, because you get guys that genuinely and organically get over because they're genuinely funny, and you don't force. You can't force humor. You just can't. It has to come naturally, and with R-Truth, it comes naturally, and he's fantastic at it. And him and Carmella are going to be in the Mixed Match Challenge, which I'm sure we'll talk about next week. But I enjoyed it, and maybe this is, I don't know if it's going to be a career renaissance for R-Truth. I don't see him getting any further up in the card, but if it does do something for him, then good for him. He deserves it.
I agree,
TJS?
R-Truth submitted himself as a main eventer in 2011 when he had that feud with John Cena. That was so entertaining to me, and I'll never.
Little Jimmy?
Yeah, and I just loved it. And I mean, now with this whole Carmella thing, I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. And the hardest that I've ever laughed at a WWE product, in a good way, is in the Royal Rumble when he brought the ladder out and climbed. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad they're doing something different on SmackDown. Instead of just the same people every week. I mean, SmackDown, you get a good variety, and I was happy to see R-Truth have his little spot there, even though it was a roll-up. Aaron, what'd you think?
I enjoyed it. I think R-Truth is hilarious, and I think that he's taken the ball and running with it. I don't know if he's going to get a big push out of this, but I sense him and Carmella are going to have some fun on the Mixed Match Challenge. I'm actually looking forward to the challenge just because of R-Truth and Carmella. I think that just based off of SmackDown, there's chemistry there with them, and we could have some entertaining segments. Will it turn Carmella babyface? That's the thing I'm wondering, if that's going to be the start of something different for her, maybe change of character perhaps. But at least it gives Carmella something to do now that she's no longer in the SmackDown women's title picture, and we'll see how things play out with them. So far, so good. I'm glad that R-Truth is getting the opportunity.
That's a good point. Like I said, I don't mind having guys that normally aren't utilized for a long stretch. Keep the TV fresh, right? I mean, on SmackDown, we go weeks without seeing Nakamura, this and that. So,
right.
Me, little things like that, they don't have to get a monster push, but TV is supposed to be entertaining, and that was. All right, TJS, you had something you wanted to bring up, so go ahead, man.
Oh, yeah. So, this is what gave me the biggest headache. This Raw... the ibuprofen was definitely needed, Aaron.
Yes,
let me just...
sir.
At the end of Raw, the Shield was laid out. All the heels laid them out.
Yep.
So why didn't Braun Strowman cash in right then?
He already cashed in.
I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say that he already cashed it in, and Baron Corbin wouldn't let him. But Baron Corbin is a heel, and he let Ziggler and McIntyre into the Raw Tag Title match from just beating up the challengers, and Baron Corbin had the Shield arrested, so why wouldn't Baron Corbin just come out there with the briefcase and say, here you go, Braun, he's laid out, cash in right now. He's a heel. He's not that monster that has to do things face-to-face anymore. It's been established very obviously that he's a heel, so I don't understand why he didn't cash in. Greg?
Don't apply logic to wrestling.
Yep. It's that straightforward, man.
That's the only thing.
I give credit to my buddy Chris Ross for that one, but he's very right. Don't apply logic to wrestling. We try, and it's hard sometimes.
And this was not the show to try to apply logic to. Let's be real here. That whole arrest thing was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole Roman Reigns thing in the bars thing, that I was picturing him doing that, Superman punching the guard like you said.
They might as well just make it, if they're going to be over the top and silly, they might as well just gone all the way with it. Have them break out of jail, literally break out of jail, and just Superman punching the cops.
They should have done pre-tapes at the jail and showed maybe there was a corrupt cop that reveal the Shield shirt and let him go. Just something so you know why they got back to the arena.
Mean, they showed Roddy Piper in the Ford Bronco being chased by the cops.
No, Virtue. Roman Reigns has to break out of the cell like this because he's the big dog. And
yes.
That would have been good for Braun Strowman. Dude, what's your thoughts on Rollins' spot there? Jacking his arm up there, getting cut. That wasn't supposed to happen, was it?
No, and that camera angle with the shaky... the shakiness of it was just terrible, by the way. The spot was cool, although it kind of gave me like that Goldberg WCW vibe where he smashed his wrist into the limo and ended up missing 6 months of action because of it. So, yeah, maybe kind of a reckless spot there, because if Rollins got seriously hurt, it happened to Goldberg, it could certainly happen to Rollins too. So, yeah, that was really interesting. But yeah, I'm just disappointed that there's so many interesting things that WWE could do with these storylines. And if you're going to be illogical and over the top, then just go all the way with it. Just have fun. The Matt Hardy stuff is over the top. Just be over the top and just be creative. And I was disappointed with SmackDown, actually, because we did not get the big food fight between Daniel Bryan and The Miz and Maurice and Brie. I thought that whole thing was setting up to that. They were going to show up in the restaurant, and because it was deserted, there was nobody there. They could just have this big fight and throw food at each other. That would have been fun. But instead, they didn't go in that direction. So I don't understand the whole story.
I do like the Miz's get up though, with whatever he had on with the glasses and stuff when he was in the ring. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that they teased that. I thought for sure they were going to do something with the restaurant, and they didn't.
I feel like we need to see more of the wrestlers outside of the arena because I feel like they're just all confined in this arena, and they don't feel like humans to me. Even when they cut the promos, they just feel like robots, and they're wrestlers. They're not real people. I just feel like we need to see, like, you know, the Italian restaurant brawl or the jail segment. Just
like remember the APA. Especially. Remember the APA would have those brawls and the friendly tap and stuff like that.
Yeah, give it.
Maybe they'll do that with AOP and Drake Maverick now.
Yeah,
and have poker games in the back.
Yeah, China going on a date with Mark Henry, and they show all the different clips of them at the bar, and then the guy hits on China, and they get in a big fight. Yep. Like, I miss that stuff.
The better Boston Booker T grocery store fight.
Yes. Yeah. Another great example.
You know who I would have liked to see manage the AOP and he did double duty?
Oh.
And this is coming from me. Corey Graves.
Interesting.
Corey Graves, man. Why isn't that guy a manager?
His gimmick is that he's supposed to be like the insider, so I mean, that would be good.
I don't know. All right, Aaron and Greg, do you have anything to contribute to the main event potluck?
Well, I just wanted to say something else. There was another segment. Oh, man, now I'm losing my train of thought. There was another segment I wanted to point out. The last one I can remember that was like what we were just talking about was Enzo in the hotel room with Lana. That was the last time we saw something like really outside of the ring. And I'd like to see more of that stuff. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say on it. Greg, anything else you wanted to add?
I was just going to say one of the best all-time segments wasn't in the ring. It was the grocery store fight with Booker T and Stone Cold. I mean, that 17 years later, we're still talking about it because it was so good.
Yep. And it was sports entertainment, people. Sports entertainment. Yeah. And I know people are out there that you really, really like wrestling, and people, you know, certain fans want to see it as a simulated sport. I get that. But it's on TV, weekly episodic especially, you got to have entertainment. Absolutely. Plain and simple. There's no question. But, I mean, that's it, guys. That's it, unless Greg or Aaron want to bring up anything else. If not, it's cool because we always have next week, the week after that, and so on.
Yeah.
You guys good?
I think we've had a great video here. I think we're only allowed like 20 face palms per video. Once we surpass that, you know, we got to call it a night.
Well, let's do our plugs, man, and I will start with TJS.
All right, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_TJS, NoDQ.com/TJS, NoDQ.com/shirts. You can get this NoDQ.com shirt. You can get the Pennsylvania Sensation shirt, the NoDQ review shirt. You can't get Aaron's tank top there. That's not for sale there.
No.
And I just wanted to remind you guys, this is NoDQ review number 32, right? So I just wanted to remind you, NoDQ Galaxy, tune in to 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. They're going to be good shows, and we're just going to go ahead and promote them right now. So, Greg, plugs.
We're going to promote all 6.
Get that? I see what you did right
reviews.
there.
Yes.
Oh,
NoDQ 39 is going to be off the chain, guys. I'm telling you. You've got to check out NoDQ review number 39 coming up soon.
NoDQ video 2000.
Yes. That's going to be a barn burner for sure.
NoDQ.com/Greg, Twitter at PA Sensation. I'm almost at 900 followers, so getting close to that elusive 1,000. Perhaps I can do that by the end of the Wrestling Trivia Challenge season, which Aaron announced I'm facing Good Mic Work, which that should be a match of epic proportions. I don't know why you keep trying to find these guys to beat me. You should have got the hint with TJS last week. It's going to be tough to find somebody to beat me. I took down Wade. I took down you, Aaron. I've taken out pretty much anybody you put in front of me. We'll see how this goes.
I won't even face you because I know better. See, so you basically got a victory over me by forfeit.
Default, yeah.
Coward. You're a coward.
Whatever.
You're a coward.
Clap. Come on.
But, I mean, Virtue, if you want to face me, if you just want to be another number, that's perfectly fine with me. But I have to make it through good mic work this week. We'll see, because that guy knows his stuff.
Oh, he sure does. Greg is a great guy, not you, the other Greg. You're a great guy, too. Greg versus Greg coming up, Wrestling Trivia Challenge. Check him out at Good Mic Work. He knows his stuff, and I think it's going to be a great match. And I hope he can beat you. I have a few more people lined up if he doesn't get the job done, but maybe he will, and maybe we'll see a big swerve as we get to the end of Wrestling Trivia Challenge. So everybody check that out this coming weekend. Like Greg said, follow him at PA Sensation. Check out TJS, NoDQ.com/TJS. Check out NoDQ Review number 36. That one is going to be a jilly jacker, to say the least. And Virtue, the floor is yours.
Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Facebook, NoDQ.com/Virtue with a small V. We do Virtue's Rage live every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Big G and I. UXWA here in Cleveland, we have an indie show coming up September 15th. So follow my social media. You'll see more info on that. And, of course, we do the NoDQ review each and every week. And like everyone said, we got 33, 34, 35, and 72 all coming up. And we like to promote them all at the same time because that's what you got to do in wrestling these days.
Yep.
So for Aaron Rift, for Greg Cherry, and for TJS, I am Virtue. It's been real. See you next time.